Well, welcome. This month we are talking about survivalism, and I hope you made it through your book, speaking of surviving. The one that I chose to read this time is a young adult novel written by Racine, and it is called Salt to the Sea. And mine is a historical fiction title that does talk about surviving. And survivalism can take across any kind of genre, so you could have read dystopian book this time. So the world is ending, can you survive the zombies, that sort of a thing. Mine happens to take place during World War II, and it's told from the point of view of 4 different young adults who all come from different countries but happen to be meeting at a certain time in order to hopefully survive. So one of them, Joanna, is Lithuanian, Florian is Prussian, and Alfred is a young German who is reluctantly, but he is proudly still serving in Hitler's army, Navy actually. And then last we have Amelia, who is Polish. And so all of them are trying to escape Russia's army that is now, it's closing at the end of the war, and they're being crushed by them. And so they're all trying to flee. And what they end up doing is they end up boarding a ship. And the ship's name is Wilhelm Gustloff. I have to look because I'm not German, gotta make sure I get the name right. And of course, this ship is doomed. And it's rather interesting to me to read this because I did not realize it is actually known as the greatest maritime disaster in the world. 9,000 people perished when it was sunk by 3 torpedoes by a Russian sub. And it was worse than what we know as the Titanic, and everybody knows about the Titanic. And yet this is kind of a forgotten part of our history. But we hear about it from all these different interesting points of view, and all of them are trying to survive something. And so this is my question for you. What does it mean to survive? So as survival as a 19th century concept, survival of the fittest by Darwin, tries to talk about. Survival of the fittest is, do you have what it takes to adapt to your environment in order to survive? And so is it simply something that is physically fit? Does it have to do with the kind of wealth you have, the money? Does it have to do with how smart you are? Is it simply luck? Well, one would say that none of these people are lucky because they board a ship that is doomed to sink. And so take a look at your own book that you read and think about whether or not survival of the fittest has to do with any of those things. In some small way, I would say that in my book, survival of the fittest does have to do with luck, because there were only so many rafts that were available, and a couple of the characters in this book were able to get on them. I would also have to say that sometimes it does have to do with your emotions. Do you have what it takes inside to be strong? And I think that also applies to real life. It also does have to do if you're physically fit, so I'm probably going to be out of the running. But in this book, it does help them that they're able to stay strong. Sometimes when they were trying to make their way to the coast in order to get there, they noticed that a lot of the older people and a lot of the very young people didn't make it because they just didn't have what it takes in order to make the long trek. And so sometimes survival of the fittest is a concept that does apply when it comes to surviving the elements. So what about in your book? Did that apply? Do you think you would have what it takes, like your characters, to survive whatever horrible fate your characters had awaiting them? Did you like survivalism? And would you read it again? Let me know, tell me what you think. And prepare for next month when we're going to be starting to read coming of age novels. And that's where teenagers have to learn what it means to grow up. And it's not always an easy path, but you know what? You don't really have a choice. So until next time, see you then.